Baruch atah Adonai Elam Shahakol Dvarei. Chaim. Chaim Yisrael. To life and blessings. Good morning, folks. We continue with the Maimer, with the Chassidic discourse. Yuchvat Basi Lagani. God comes to his garden. We're bringing him to this garden that we're creating down here. And how, well, right now we're focused, very focused on the light that goes above, beyond all measure, which is an infinite light of God that is hidden. And we explained that in what it means teaching. And the master teacher gives over that which you can grasp, that which is beyond your grasp, that eventually you will grasp. And then things that are a hidden message, that it doesn't come through messaging. it comes from you, from within. And we gave now a metaphor from the Baal Shem Tov to understand on how this is expressed. This is metaphor. We got metaphor upon metaphor. Just to, I hope everybody's aware. Who's coming to learn. Metaphor upon metaphor. So we have a metaphor of a teacher. We have a metaphor of the stories of the Torah. We have a metaphor of a metaphor. A metaphor is something that hides the wisdom. The stories in the Torah hide the divine wisdom. That's what the Baal Shem Tov explained. And he gives a metaphor, the Baal Shem Tov gives a metaphor of a king who sends off his son to a far-off place in order he should have greater pleasure. A different kind of pleasure. He has pleasure with him in the house, in the palace, but it's a much greater pleasure. But it's wrought with the possibility of, and as what happens to the son, he loses the language and the clothing of the palace. So you need to bring a wise individual who dresses and talks like the son. That's the stories of the Torah. They're dressed to talk the way humans talk. So much so that we could sometimes see sin in some great, holy, righteous person. Because, that's, you got to talk the person's language. That's stories. But deep down, it's much more profound and hidden teachings in the stories. Very, very hidden. Now we go, we started yesterday, we began with the Maggid in his explanation. Or actually, based on what we have now, excuse me 1 second. It's a little warm in here. It's not 85 degrees over here. Well, but it's warm. The warmth of the learning, at least. So with this, we can understand we began yesterday, that the Jewish people, when they went out, the Bnei Israelites went out of Egypt, Moses told Pharaoh, we're going for 3 days. All the commentaries have an issue with this. Like, you're going forever. Why 3 days? So we're not going to get off on the simple explanation and different explanations. We're just going to do the Mezritcher Maggid, who's the successor of the Baal Shem Tov, teacher of the Alter Rebbe, the Rebbe of the Alter Rebbe. So he explains that the Torah was given with the Word of God, which is also incorporating the thought of God, right? That's what was drawn down to us. So Torah was given from on high through thought and speech, but action is in our hands. We have to do the act of the mitzvah, right? And through doing the act of the mitzvah, we connect to the world of Asiya, the world of action, spiritual world of action. Together, the act binds it together with the divine speech and the divine thought, which the divine speech and divine thought refer to spiritual worlds also. The world of Yetzirah, world of formation, is the world of divine speech, and the world of Bria is the world of divine thought. Right, those are spiritual dimensions, spiritual worlds that God creates. That God creates, and through our act over here, we bind and connect and unite to the spiritual worlds above. That's the basic idea. And so what do we have here? We have three things: thought, speech, and action, which are, of course, the three garments of self-expression of the soul, right? But here they're referenced to, through our act in this world, we connect to the world, spiritual world of Asiya, the world of action, which is a spiritual world that precedes this physical world. It evolves that world from the world of Yetzirah, which is a spiritual world called formation, translated as formation, which is more expressing through speech. And then the world of Bria, which is called the world of creation, is the world of thought, divine thought. So this is what it means that we're going to go 3 days into the desert. In other words, we're going to go 3 worlds. We're going to go 3 spiritual worlds. Again, remember, this is a mystical or explanation of this. This is not the simple meaning of these words, which need also to be understood. We're going to go 3 worlds to receive the Torah, right? Because that was the whole point of going out of Egypt, is that we're going to come, let my people go in order that they should serve me. They're going to serve me at the mountain, Mount Sinai, where we receive the Torah. Now, of course, right, which now means to receive the Torah, that clothes itself, expresses itself in various worlds. Just briefly, as we learned this in Tanya, I don't want to get off on this too much right now, but the world of thought, the world of Bria, is also that is expressing, as thought expresses, intelligence, right? Thought expresses intelligence. So that's the world of intelligence, which is the world of where the Gemara comes from. The intelligence, God's Torah comes, right? It is expressed in every world, every spiritual dimension. And the Gemara, which is the back and forth arguing between the sages, right? The intelligence of God's wisdom, intelligence meaning here the grasp of the intelligence, right, is an expression of the world of Bria. The world of Yetzirah is a world that expresses emotions, and therefore speech expresses emotions. Um, I mean, speech also expresses, one's wisdom, but primarily, emotions are emotions. Uh, Intelligence and thought, you don't need anybody in this world, right? They can be just about you, inside of you. Emotions mean an emotion to someone, right? To something, but to someone, let's keep it, to someone, right? Speech is only, why am I speaking now rather than just thinking? Because I'm expressing to someone, to you, right? So emotions are to someone. Speech is to someone. So speech primarily are about expressing emotion, although they express also, again, intelligence, right? I hope that's clear. That's the world of Yitzhak, the world of formation. What forms the person, what makes the character of the person, is your emotions and how you express them, meaning in speech. And then you have, of course, action, right? That's a third garment, the third form of self-expression of the soul. So Torah also, in the world of Yitzhira, my apologies, I went off. The world of Yitzhira being an emotion, the two basic emotions are love and fear. Love embraces, fear repels, which expresses the adjudication of Jewish law. Embracing means it's kosher or it's valid, right? Repels means it's not kosher, it's not valid, meaning it's the adjudication of Jewish law, which refers to the Mishnah, or Jewish or halacha, for example. So that's where the Mishnah, for example, comes from. An expression of the Torah is expressed in all dimensions of the spiritual worlds. So, because what are we saying here? We're going to go to the Torah in three worlds. We're going for 3 days, meaning 3 worlds, right? Again, this is a deeper explanation of what this means, right? By the way, this doesn't mean that this is what Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, had in mind. Like he specifically had this in mind, that this is what it means. No, since every word he says is a divine word, right? Divinely inspired. Divinely inspired can be that it's hidden in there. Actually, this is a good example of what it means. Here, Moshe Rabbeinu is saying this is part of the Torah. He says we're going to go for 3 days. It doesn't mean he understood that this is what the meaning is. This is a perfect example of something that's an expression of him, that it has a very, very deep meaning. And again, because he's a complete conduit to the divine, he could say something and not know its full meaning. He doesn't need to. He might just know the simple or other, deeper, other, homiletic meanings of what the 3 days are, and therefore that's what he expresses, for sure. But it doesn't mean he has to know all of the explanations that all the commentaries give of what the 3 days are. No, he doesn't have to, right? For it to be divine. He can be prophesizing something and not know the full weight of the prophetic words that he is expressing to Pharaoh when he says that we're going to go for 3 days. I mean, it's just a side point. So this is the 3 days we're going to go into the desert, on the 3 worlds that we're going to go to receive the Torah. the Torah, we're going to receive the Torah in 3 days, and he explains the Magid. This is concerning how the Torah expresses itself, it encloses itself in the 3 worlds. So the more, right, Torah is God's will and wisdom that is beyond, of course, these 3 worlds. The more it becomes distant from its source above, the more the Torah is bitzimtzum, is contracted. Contracted meaning that the infinite light of God is contracted the more it comes down world after world. Right? Until it comes into this world, it is so contracted, the light of God, that it expresses itself in measure, in definitive measure in this world. So, for example, tefillin have to be square. They have to be, 4 by 4, or something of that nature. The straps have to be black. The tefillin have to be between your eyes and not on your forehead, right? That's all a limitation in how you do the mitzvah. Why a limitation? If it's an expression of God, who's limitless, is because the further the Torah comes down, into it devolves from world to world, the more there's a contraction of the divine light, and it comes down into this world in such a contraction that it can only be fulfilled with a specific measure. In even when it comes Pesach and you have to eat matzah, so a lot of people maybe they don't like matzah, or they like it, but they like it only so much, right? So they take only a little bite. You don't fulfill the mitzvah. You have to eat of a hand-baked shmur matzah, almost half of a matzah, a bit less than half. You have to eat, and you have to eat it within 6 or 8 minutes. Why? Because the Torah comes into this world. It comes with such a contraction of the divine light that it expresses itself here with specific measure in space. The matzah has to be a certain amount of physical measure, and in time, that it has to be eaten within time. In other words, if you ate half the matzah and you ate it over a half an hour, you also don't fulfill the mitzvah. So the spiritual reason for that is because the Torah, as it comes down, the light of God is diminished or contracted. I don't know if diminished is the right word. It's contracted, right? Now, what happens is, because the light is contracted, the way we experience the mitzvah down here, oh boy, I have to stop. Okay, sorry folks. How we experience the mitzvah, that's what we're going to continue, as a result. Okay, I'll remember. All right, we'll see you soon.